As somebody that specializes in inner child work, something I think that gets very misunderstood is your inner child is one, not just the younger version of you, it's every single younger version of you that has lived, meaning yesterday as well. And it's not about necessarily reparenting or seeing that part of you was wrong or broken, or that because you experienced hard things that you need to go back and fix. Instead, it's turning toward all of these younger versions of ourselves and saying, I'm gonna hold you, I love you, I'm gonna give you what you didn't receive then. And so there's this deep importance of integration with inner child work, where you're actually saying, I'm gonna hold your hand, I'm not gonna fix you and then leave you in the past. I'm going to look at you, feel the pain and the grief and the sadness of everything you were experiencing that I did not feel safe to fully feel then, because I didn't have the safety in my home, my nervous system to do that. I was a child, right? Or I was yesterday not aware, or I didn't have the wisdom that I have today, right? So we're always stepping into opening our system to more light if we choose to. And so therefore our nervous systems are becoming more expansive to hold. And as our nervous systems are becoming more expansive to hold, we actually get to look back and gain perspective to integrate these parts of self that were left in the darkness, where we didn't have, again, we are in survival mode. We are in that often not a rest and digest. Many people have experienced childhoods where we don't know how to integrate because there wasn't the safety, the security, the love, safety, security, and belonging that everyone as a human being innately deserves and needs. But in phases of our lives where we didn't feel love, safety, and belonging, all of those core inner child needs, then we go into survival mode of the sympathetic state of fight or flight, or fawn or freeze, and we don't know how to really hold. Instead, we self-abandon, we find our own coping mechanisms, whether that be perfectionism, that was high for me, or it's people pleasing, or it's workaholic, or it's numbing out through drugs or alcohol or porn. There's all these different ways that we maneuver. Maybe it's busying ourselves, or maybe it's going into the other side of being a rebel, of putting all of our eggs in somebody else's basket, talking a lot of crap about other people and externalizing. We cope in a lot of ways to run from these parts of selves that we don't know how to deal with. And we approach them with I need to deal with this, or this won't leave me alone. This part of me won't leave me alone. But when we approach our inner child or these past versions of ourselves with rigidity, it's just going to get louder. And that's the most important part about inner child work, is recognizing that we need to provide our inner child, all these past versions of ourselves, the opposite of what it's surfacing in us like. So if it's surfacing as anxiety, how do you approach anxiety as the exact opposite of how anxiety presents? Anxiety presents a ping pong all around busyness. And what would it be like to just simplify, right? Approaching anxiety with simplification is what it needs. When your system is feeling anger, how can you approach it with compassion? When your system is approaching you with deep despair and grief, how can you pour love into that? Understanding, sitting across from it, and just sitting with these parts of ourselves. And so that's a big part about really shifting the way that we're approaching therapy or coaching, or these parts of ourselves. It's not about going in and fixing anything. It's about going in and sitting with, contemplating, recognizing that we are so often trying to fix a feeling, to try to get it to go away as fast as possible. But the integration is this lifelong process. It's about sitting with the void, sitting with the in-between. And in our lives, all of us have had several phases where we are in an in-between where we are not at the beginning and we're not at the end, but we're not maybe where we want to be. And to sit with these parts of ourselves where we don't have an answer, where we don't know, which is truly kind of the whole point of life, is to just put our hands up and say, I don't know, and I am going to free flow with it, but we need to meet ourselves fully. Like, what is it like? What would it be like for you? Ask yourself this. What would it be like for me to be fully in my life? To like fully experience life? What would that be like? And to be in that dance means we allow ourselves to fully experience the sadness, to fully experience the grief, to fully experience the anger, to fully experience the bliss, the joy, the ecstasy, the peace, the calm, the uncertainty, the anxiety. Like, to not meet it with, let me fix this, but meet it with, teach me. I want to hear from you. And that's the same thing we're doing with these inner child parts of self, is just meeting ourselves to learn how to sit with the discomfort of when we're wanting to resist this part of us and say, like, I want you, but don't want you. And so I'm going to run from you, but I'm going to choose you, right? We don't get to do that. And when we do pick and choose, we find ourselves stuck in these ruts where these parts of ourselves are like poking at us, nudging at us and saying, hey, I'm still here. And so when we really get to this like state of more like enlightenment or surrender, it's because we're not running from anything anymore. We're not numbing from anything anymore. We're really allowing ourselves to sit with the full breadth of the human existence. And so when you are interacting with yourself, like, how can you really root into security in all parts of you when you're not judging or deeming one thing as right or one thing as a should or a have to, right or wrong, anything in this these areas that we can shame ourselves, and instead saying, I get to be all of this. Like, this is part of being a human. And then meeting other people with that same compassion of like, let me see all parts of you, not just see the like beautiful parts that are put together and like have no flaws or don't have emotions. Like, let's meet each other in our fullness, in the tears, in the grief, in the complexity. This is the human experience, in the victories, in the joy, in the playfulness, and in the seriousness, in the contemplation. Like, this is what it means to be human together. And in relationship, that is really healthy, secure attachment, when we can meet our family, our partners, our like sisters, our brothers, our friends with the same compassion of like, let me understand these inner child parts of you. Like, who were you yesterday? Who were you when you were 10? Who were you when you were 5? What did you experience? And when these parts of you, these 5-year-old, these 10-year-old, these 20-year-old parts of you are coming back up, and it's coming up in a way that I don't really understand that part of you, or, oh, I don't know where this is coming from. Maybe I can seek to understand you as somebody that is 5 years old that, like, of course I would want to like pick you up off of the ground after you scraped your knee on your bike and say like, hey, let me hold your hand. You got this. Like, let's get back up. Or, hey, what do you need right now? Or like, what are those tears trying to tell me? Or like, hey, like, tell me more about what you're dreaming of. Like, what do you want to be when you grow up? Right? Like, doing this dance of embracing all parts of ourselves and all parts of all the parts of the people around us, because we think that people are operating from their present version of self, but often we're always in this dance with interacting with our present version of self, our 10 years ago part of self, our 20 years ago part of self, our 50 years ago part of self, right? Like, in the full breadth of the human experience, we are constantly like, our nervous system is being poked and prodded with the mirroring back of all these experiences so that we can come into union with parts of self that we have pushed aside. So if you have any questions on inner child work, I'd love to talk about it. And I also am really getting into like providing people unique experiences based on how their inner child is bubbling up or presenting itself in any given point. So please feel free to reach out to me, and I'd love to create and explore creating curated custom meditations for people about integrating their inner child. So sending much love to all of you.